You go to the show with last night.
I didn't go to the show last night.
You ain't got to lie. 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 You ain't got to lie.
Oh my God! No, hear
Yo, what's
this.
happening, bro?
Oh, hear this.
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Man, it's crazy times, man.
No joke, this.
But the show has to go on. What's up, y'all? Fifth episode. Fifth episode, man, bro. I keep getting shocked every time. Like,
We're moving,
bro. Like, this
we're
is
moving.
yo. Learn a thing or two. This is, I think, how you're supposed to do it. Consistency, man. Keep going. You know
That's
what I mean?
it.
But again, obviously, this is because of the circumstances that we're in. So we have to improvise. Gatherings
Yeah.
is the thing right now. And unfortunately, we don't have the guys with us. It's supposed to be a little different, but we have to keep the show going, bro. Like,
True.
so we definitely miss the guys. Aubrey, Lance. Obviously, the next week or so, we're gonna see how things going and come back, catch up. Do the whole thing. Get the gang back together. You know what I mean?
Life and times in COVID.
Bro, hectic. But show has to go on. We're excited to be here, man. The show is moving on. We have a few interesting topics that we want to go through today, right? Because even though we're in lockdown, bro, things are happening. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
things are
Facts.
still
Facts.
going on. There's too many things to talk about that have happened in the last week or so. But obviously, we just want to acknowledge the fact that these are very, very uncertain times,
Yep.
right? I mean, I was just looking at the Joburg numbers in terms of COVID. Like, it's ridiculous, bro. Like, people are dropping like left, right, and center. Like Joburg numbers. I think we account for 60-something% of the COVID new cases right now in the
Yep.
country, which is unprecedented.
That's insane.
So definitely people should stay safe, right? And we know what's interesting, just to touch on our last episode, the last segment of that episode,
Yeah.
right? When we're talking about people doing research, people trying to figure this thing out, like figure out what happened and like get into the real answers and stuff like that. I got some really positive feedback about that. Like, people are really interested to know what is going on with this COVID thing. What happened? Like the vaccine. Should we take it? Should we not take it? In the US, it's open right now, right? People are vaccinated. What's going on in Africa? Should we take the vaccine? Should we still be concerned? I don't know. What do you think? Like,
I'm a bit worried about the fact that opening up the economy is predicated on people doing something
Yeah.
to their bodies. I
yeah,
don't know, man. Just think about it.
Yeah.
Do you think, for example, if we had said everybody who's sick just stay at home and everybody who's well can come out, would that have been a beneficial thing? Would that have helped?
yeah.
Would people have cooperated with that? Would people have?
Jeez.
You know what I mean? All I'm saying is there isn't one universal solution. The problem is when we take institutions like government, institutions that have shown themselves to be corrupt,
Yeah.
and we take that, and that's what we run with. I'm worried about that. And so when someone says, we vaccinate you, you're free to go, people are still getting reinfected when they've been vaccinated. So opening up the US doesn't say anything. And we know numbers have been doctored before in the US, so what's to say they're not being doctored
Bro,
now?
it's so a funny story. Actually, my mom shared this in the group, right? The family group or whatever.
Yeah.
And apparently in Uganda, they had a case where they were burying empty coffins.
I saw that.
I'm like,
How insane is that? That's governments for you, bro.
like, what is going on?
That is the insanity of governments for you.
What does that say about what's going on? Because now it raises more questions, like literally, Obviously, it's a can of worms we don't want to, dabble in, but it just raises questions like, okay, if it's happening in Uganda, where else is it happening? If it's actually happening, right? So my advice is just obviously stay safe. People should do their research. Let's get to the bottom of this. right? What happened? If we're taking the vaccine, what do we know about it? Be informed before you take it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever decision you make, obviously you'll have to live with, but
Or
no,
die with.
right? Worst case scenario, but at least be informed. You know, that's my take on it. Also, on another note, I mean, I was looking at what was going on in KZN yesterday. I was watching the news, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a gathering. Like, the
Yeah.
question is, if we said no gatherings, what's gonna happen, right? Like, people actually, bro. I mean, if you saw that, it was easily more than 500 people there.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh,
Right?
at least a couple grand. At least a couple grand. Look, I don't think that was an official gathering. I mean, they were there to stop a man from going to prison.
Yeah.
But then I always got to balance that equation because it's not just about him going to prison. He
Yeah.
pointed out a few things.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about he was sentenced without trial. That sounds
There's
a lot
a
like
whole-
apartheid days. He talks about he didn't want to even appear in the first place because he was going to be made to appear before men whose credentials he had questioned, or rather whose neutrality he had questioned, because this man was related to somebody that was involved in the state capture issue. The judge should have recused himself. Again, sounds a bit like apartheid, where there's impunity
Right.
for the judges and the, you know, so I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that question between justice and the law. What's the difference between justice and the law?
Bro, I'll hold the thought, but yeah, carry on. There's something along those lines.
No, go ahead.
So that was the same question somebody was asking today, actually, in the US about Bill Cosby, right? Because he was released,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So in terms of the law, he's innocent.
yeah.
But then the other aspect of, okay, just because he got out because of a technicality, what does it say about,
Justice
Justice.
system. Yeah,
right, as a system? So now for me, the concern when you bring it back to the KZN situation, it's, okay, there's a technicality around about this whole thing, how it was handled, right? Now there's a lot of things that are questionable in terms of, because now this is the highest court in the country, right, where things are not clear like they should. I mean, any matter should end there at that level.
true.
But if there are mistakes being made there, allegedly, where does it leave us?
I think there's
Where is
like,
that equality of, all equal,
to the
to the law?
in the sight of the law?
Yeah, the side of the law, like,
And you know what? I asked that question not on the question of because Jacob Zuma is not
Yeah.
in prison right now,
Yeah.
but in the instance where a Judge Pillay, who had held a judgment against him and had shown that she was partial against him, gets to sit on a council of the Constitutional Court and pass judgment on him. Where is the equality in that? And then let me ask where more equality is.
Yeah.
Steinhoff.
yeah,
The prejudice is 400 billion rand.
yeah,
VBS, the prejudice is 2 billion rand.
yeah,
VBS has black characters only, and Steinhoff has this white man who's right at the helm.
yeah,
Hasn't spent a
Yeah.
day in jail, 400 billion later.
Yeah.
But we're calling for the heads of everyone who benefited from VBS. 2 billion rand split amongst 20 or so people. So that's about 100 on average. I'm saying
On
average because some are
average.
getting small amounts. 100 million each versus 400 billion. I didn't say million, 400 billion.
Billion.
And a man is out there untouched and the press doesn't say anything. Remember, part of the democracy is what the press is
Yeah.
press freedom.
Yeah.
It's intrinsic to freedom of expression. And so if the press itself is owned by somebody, can it be neutral?
yeah. It shakes everything that we stand on. I think, as a country and society in general. Like, if you can't trust the law, and you can't use that as your backbone, or if the law is in question itself
Yeah.
on whether it's just, what do we have to fall back on, right? Which is a very important question, and that's what the KZN situation exposes. That's what the Bill Cosby situation exposes.
The KZN situation's got a bit more. It also exposes how ready the Zulu Nation is, bruh. They're ready to bring it.
So in my assessment of the whole thing, it's just, you know what, let level heads prevail.
Yeah.
The whole thing, because things could go left very quickly and easily.
I was praying for that because I just didn't want any violent outbreak or any killings or anything like that.
And even on that note, I was watching what the police commissioner said today when he's like, listen, we could have been
forced our way in,
in the whole thing, right? But it takes you back to the Marikana situation.
Marikana.
Right? So either, because some people are like, hey, the police were weak, what, hey, they should have, and they're raising that argument. But on the other side of it, it's like, okay, if they'd done that and been forceful, there were kids that were there. There were mothers that were there. Things could have gone really left. So sometimes there's no winning with this thing, but I'm just hopeful that, level heads will prevail.
Yeah.
There might be arguments on both sides that are valid, but at the end of the day, we don't want anyone to get hurt.
Yep.
We want justice, true justice and real justice to prevail. Because sometimes things seem a certain way when they might not actually be that way.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I just pray for and hope for, that, throughout this whole experience, throughout this whole COVID, because, bro, it's just been a weird year, bro. Like,
it's been a weird 2 years, bro. It started with Kobe dying, man. They shouldn't have let Kobe die. That was it, man. That was the beginning of the end.
Right? So I just hope we get out of this thing safe and sound. That's what I hope for. So that was on that. I just think the lesson there is, guys, obviously we have a lot of things to think about as a nation. That's one. And then also from a COVID standpoint, we just have to figure this COVID situation out to really get to the bottom of it and really find solutions. Because I know COVID, the vaccine itself sounds as a solution right now, right? But at the same time, we don't want to correct one situation by making another mistake, right? Because what is happening and what you notice is people are losing lives at the end of the day. That's what we know for sure, right? So we need to get to the root cause and really come up with a solution that addresses, firstly, like I mentioned before, from a legislation standpoint, we need to figure out how did we get here and how do we ensure it never happens again. That's one. And then two, whatever the solution we come up with, whether it's the vaccine or whatever, it has to be well researched to ensure that it does solve the problem, but it doesn't create another issue. Right? Maybe it's not short term, maybe it's a long term issue, right? And this is something that has happened in vaccines before. So we just want to be safe and be sure that we really come up with a solution that ensures that lives are saved. I mean, and it becomes more serious when it's close people to you that are being affected now, whether it's colleagues, whether it's clients.
Yeah, didn't you say like a colleague of yours passed or something like that?
A colleague of mine, him and his girlfriend, and this was like the safest guy. That's the funny thing, right?
Wow.
Weird thing about it. Like, this is somebody who never went anywhere. The only place he was going to the gym, which I was like, bro, like gym also, could expose you, and he thinks probably that's where he got it. But at the end of the day, it becomes real when it's close people to you that are being affected.
I kind of wonder what Dr. Sebi would have said. What would he have recommended?
Bro, I like that you brought that. Everyone, if you have 5 minutes or whatever, just go do some research on Dr. Sebi, okay? He was from Honduras, I think.
Yeah, one of the
islands, right? And this is somebody who cured AIDS, right? This is somebody who was using like
naturopathy and stuff like that.
Naturopathy to, heal some severe diseases. And you could learn a thing or two. And I think there's still things that he taught that would apply to this day, to whether it's to build your immune system and stuff like that. Like, if people should do their research. We don't talk about Dr. Sebi enough, but I think it's worth pointing out, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the informative part of the show, okay? As much as we joke and laugh around or whatever, you're supposed to learn a thing or two at the end of the day. So do your research, right? Interesting experience yesterday was also dope. I just wanted to bring that up. Like yesterday, so we went to a set,
Yeah.
right? A movie set. And one thing that I was happy about was, when you're focused about going on a journey that many people might not be comfortable going on, whether it's pursuing your dreams and things like that. It's funny how, like I said, and we spoke about this yesterday, like things just have a way of coming
together.
around and aligning, right? So one of my mates was on a movie set because he's an actor and he's shooting his short film, and just the networking that was involved was amazing, right? Like linking up with actors and actresses, and by the way, you would know. Can we still say actresses? Because there's this thing where everyone is an actor. Apparently, is that?
Man, I don't know about the
Because apparently it's politically correct
pronoun for thespians. So I call them a thespian because that's safer.
Right?
Yeah, but
yeah, like
look, it's a beautiful thing, and just to plug Vitamin Q, we also don't quite hire our equipment, but we contribute whenever we have someone who's got a vision that we can buy into. And this friend of ours, he's directing a movie, and we kind of were the tech partners there, bringing in the gear and getting this thing to pop. So yeah, the thespians were there, and it was a beautiful network for us. So if you have a vision or whatever, and you think that you might want to film it,
Bro, I just have a question though, random question though. And this is a question to the public, right? And I was just thinking about it. I'm like, yo, if your homie's girl, okay?
Oh, you took it there immediately.
If you're vibing with your homie's girl a little bit too much, like, do you tell the homie or whatever, Or also, do you ask the homie? I think it's important, right? Like, should there be a conversation is what I need to know. I was just thinking about that, random thought. Just let us know in the comments, okay? If you're vibing a little bit too much with the homie's girl, and you don't know it's the homie's girl, let's make it clear. Then based on you asked, or even when you're asking, what are you supposed to say? Are you supposed to? Anyway, let me just
I think, you've opened the can of worms. You might as well go there.
I was just asking. I just wanted to know, like, what are people's thoughts on that? Like, what are the do's and maybe let's talk about it. What are the do's and don'ts with the homie? I know you don't mess with the homie's girl. Everyone knows that. If you do that, that is savage. Okay. Prideful. That is savage. Now, but in that, right? If you maybe feel the homie's girl is a bit too comfortable, right, with you, she's giving you vibes, right? Like, are you supposed to address that with the homie, or do you just keep it pushing and you respect the lines? Obviously, like, should there be a conversation like, bro, like your girl?
Man, I don't know.
Or should you leave it alone? I don't know.
Okay, can I throw a spanner in the works, then come to another angle, then we'll come back to the spanner?
Yeah.
What if the homie is just planning to waste here? Sometimes people just hook up just for hookup's sake. But this girl is the type that wants something serious, and you were looking for something serious only to discover that this is the homie's girl.
Yeah.
So he's looking to waste this.
Yeah.
Hasn't yet maybe succeeded, but it's his girl. But now you're the guy she's looking for, the type of thing she's looking for,
right.
And the vibe is strong. What do you do then? I'll come back to that, but I want to tell you a story.
Yeah.
There was a homie of mine. Let me give you identities protected
right.
for all parties involved.
Yeah.
So his name was, what's a name that we've never, Winthrop.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where that came from. His name was Winthrop.
Yeah.
His girl she got around.
Okay.
And so at one of these camps, we're youth, and one of these youth camps,
yeah.
he didn't go, and she went, but it looked like she went by herself.
Okay.
But she actually there was a tryst or a rendezvous with some other
Yeah.
dude. She spent the whole camp in that dude's tent.
Okay.
So, not me, but one of the homies
Yeah.
was like, this is dirty. I'm going to just have to tell the homie because, I'm going to have to do the right thing. I don't know if that's the right thing, but he did that. And he went and he told the homie, listen, I know you love this girl, but man, she spent a weekend in someone's tent.
Bro.
She spent a weekend in someone's tent. She spent a weekend in someone's tent.
Bro.
But I thought the final twist.
Yeah.
As a homie.
Yeah.
Went to homegirl.
Yeah.
And said, Brother X said, you spent a weekend in somebody's tent. Can you imagine? He said it that way. He said it from her side to say, do you know what X has been saying about you? He says you spent the weekend. This is the homie whose girl had spent in the weekend in the tent.
No, fam. Bro, you know how many? Okay, not how many times, but I've been burnt before.
Yeah.
Where you're like, yo, I thought I'm doing the right thing. Like, this was a mistake. Okay, again, this was like years ago. Okay, like early, like varsity days, right?
Yeah.
Where you and a homie's girl, a close friend, which I think is now look at it. Okay, I understand the how sensitive it is. Like it can go left, right?
Yeah.
So me and a homie's girl were tight friends. Like we were homies. Like so we used to hang out. And also at the time, I think the girl I was dating, like she was homies with the homie's girl. Like it's like we're all homies.
Yeah. So the girls are friends.
The girls are friends. We're friends.
everybody's-
Yeah.
everybody's
Like
cool.
And then it just so happens you're cheating with the homie's girl because we do that. Like it wasn't a thing, right? And then something happens, right?
No, what's something? Come on, go in. What is, go in.
No, like we didn't smash. That's for sure. Okay.
But you and the homie's girl,
Something
you
just
got cozy.
a little cozy, right? Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, the line was definitely
Crossed. Yeah.
crossed, right? And so part of you, your conscience kills you, right? Like, damn, man, like this is the homie, right? And at some point, it's like, okay, snap. Let me just keep it 1,000 with the homie, right?
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Confession
Yeah.
is a selfish act.
Right? No, that's why I learned that.
Confession
For
is
sure.
a selfish act because what it does is you're only thinking about your peace of mind. Are you
Right.
going to hook up with girl again? No, you're already feeling the guilt not to hook up with her again. So all you want is this feeling of restitution.
No, and you know what?
Yeah.
When you say it like that, fair enough. Yes, right?
Yeah.
But in your mind, then you'd be thinking like, because the homie's the homie. Like,
Okay, all right. Okay, wait. I'll tell you something. You know,
Yeah.
I love the Bible, and the Bible says, confess your sins one to another. Like
Right.
if I've wronged you,
yes,
I must confess to you.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So that aspect kind of kicks in, where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm not being sincere with this homie because this thing is lingering, right?
But if no lasting damage has been done, and you know you've
Yeah.
converted of your ways, I guess the one thing that you might be doing is protecting the homie from the fallout if homegirl goes somewhere else and does it.
Right.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I'm not saying, and there's no right or wrong answer around it, I think. It's like tricky. That's the thing. It's like it's a puzzle. It's like, this could result to this and
it's
that
a
could result to...
big puzzle.
So, do you understand what I'm saying? So, but fortunately enough, me and the homie, we figured it out and we're good. Like, good. Even the girl of it, like, we're good. Like...
Is she good with the homie though?
Yeah, funny enough, like, things just worked out. Like...
For real?
Dude, it was weird.
How did she spin that?
I think the dude, it's like the dude was so into the girl. It was almost like he was too into her, so he kind of understood it in a way. But everybody has moved on. It's all good. We all learned from it. That was definitely savage. Like when I look back, it was a savage moment. But it was a learning curve. Like and that's why I'm bringing it up. Like, what do you think about, how do you manage those kind of relationships? Does it make sense to be homies with the homie's girl?
I'll tell you right now.
I don't think so.
Do you remember something I told you yesterday about another friend who he married this so-called virtuous girl, but she wasn't really all that.
Yeah.
She was a virgin and everything, but she spent most of their marriage doing him dirty. Like, I remember I obviously can't go into detail just like I didn't yesterday because at the end of the day I have to respect someone's privacy. But that came from having two close friends. I think once you're a unit, like especially marriage, I think you can have casual friends, but you've got to be your own close buddies and you can't have cross-gender buddies. Same, like
bro, you raise a valid point.
Think about opposite sex friendships in marriage.
It doesn't work. Yes, I'm married, but
you're going to it.
I've just seen it though. Like, it's like the once you get married, the whole groupie concept doesn't work.
We're just group of buddies. We hang.
Like families and like. It's almost
he's a family friend. We grew up together. We're practically cousins.
No, I don't play those games. It's something I just had to learn, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, because naturally, most of my friends are married or they recently got married or, do you understand, right? And even if you're tight with a lot of like girls, whether it's from high school or varsity or whatever, and you guys are homies, it's like just out of respect for that, institution and what they have agreed on in terms of marriage, you kind of have to know the boundaries. Not to say you can't be friends, because I don't think that's natural.
Yeah.
But I think there are unspoken rules on
how the
relationship
the
evolves.
The friendship,
Yeah, right? So you can easily see when you're crossing boundaries. Like, there's no way I'm just calling somebody's wife to just have a conversation. Like, yo, so what's happening? Oh, bro, what's happening? Da, 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 da. We're not doing that.
At 9, like you can call me.
Like, imagine if someone's calling your wife.
Exactly. Can I tell
like
you,
friends?
This happened to me. I had a friend.
Yeah.
I had lots of friends. I had a friend, and she had recently gotten married.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, yes, I said unbeknownst. Unbeknownst to me, she had been talking about me to her husband.
Right.
Yeah. And then every time I'd call, she'd talk about, Q just called and we spoke.
Yeah.
And I was sixpence none the wiser about marriage then. I didn't know like what went on in a marriage. And the one morning I'm calling her. In fact, it's a music video I was directing.
Yeah.
For a famous gospel a cappella group in somewhere.
Yeah.
And she was going to be starring in it. So I'm calling about work.
Right.
And he picks up the phone and he says it in his native and vernacular, but I'm gonna try and translate. He says, "Oh, is that you that's been calling my wife? Or is this the man's that's been calling my wife?" Man, and I started, then he says, "Oh man, I'm just messing with you."
But
relax,
you see,
bro.
even that.
But a lot of truth is said in jest.
In just jest, yeah.
Yeah, he's joking, but you know what?
It's like,
he
bro,
said his facts.
I'm uncomfortable. It's like,
exactly.
Kidding.
From then onwards, I was trying to keep my distance, but she'd keep calling me. And, I actually had to confess and say, listen, there's a conversation I once had with your husband. He said he was joking, so don't take it up with him. But I learned, I got burnt and I learned, so...
right, and I think that's where, not even just say as men, that's where we kind of need to do the manly thing and say, hey, whoa.
Another spanner in the works. Yeah. I mean, how do you, because you gotta, look, if you're not attracted to each other, if you wouldn't have been attracted anyway, that's kind of that's a moot point. A lot of people would say, but what if we're not attracted to each other? We just see each other as brother and sister. Yeah, sure. You can have a scenario like that. But I want to say that's a kind of outlier in terms of intersex relations, because sexual tension can build from anything.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be that throughout your relationship you were that. It just needs to be once for that person to have cheated.
Bro, how many times have you seen? many times have you seen people are married, but these like they coming on you, bro? They're like, yo, you are a full wife. Or
You're a whole wife
you're
of
a
someone
whole
like
wife, bro.
This
Like-
dude right near paid lobola for you. And here I am. I'm a nobody.
I'm a
and
nobody,
bruh,
bro. Like you got kids, man. Like
Yeah, you got
what-
kids and everything. Like,
Yo.
yo.
And not to make excuses for men, because men do the same thing. Like sometimes, like, hey, what, bro?
In fact,
Yeah.
I think the narrative is men do it more, but I think
More,
that's the
yeah.
narrative.
That's the narrative,
I think
man.
public, I mean, like in reality,
Yeah.
it's probably equal. It's
Yeah,
probably women do
yeah.
it as much as men. But
Yeah.
we all know the story that's always spread is that the men are always at the problem.
Right. But it happens. That's the truth on both sides.
Facts.
And I just feel like also that's where the whole issue of, man, like personally, since I'm not married, it's and you can obviously give me the other perspective of it. Like for me, it's I don't want to get to that situation, right? Where I am in a situation, but I'm looking for answers elsewhere, right? Where because I'm unhappy or because this woman has changed her behavior, it's going to push me enough to step out or look outside. That's one thing that kind of holds a dude back in terms of, I want to figure that part out. I want to figure out.
I'm going to say it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say it like it is also. I think
Yeah.
people don't realize some of the most hopeless romantics are guys. It's just the romanticism that guys have is not the type that's like daydreaming about flowers. But you're trying to get the perfect happily ever after.
Right.
I'm trying to find the woman that I'm not going to walk away from.
Correct.
You know, I'm lucky
Yeah.
I've got that, but
Yeah.
and then a temptation is literally I'm gonna spot it from afar and say, that's not what I signed up for. I signed
Yeah.
up for something else. That is a temptation. I can look down. I can look to the side. I
Yeah.
can do whatever. It's a bit different from somebody who then just, gets hitched because that's the thing you're supposed to do. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden something nice comes along and here's a temptation. I'm just
Bruh.
saying that's a good move for you, bro, to be like, I really want that somebody that's mine, in my mind.
In my mind. And where and also obviously it kind of conflicts with the concept of, listen, you'll never find somebody that's 100%, that's perfect, right? But at the same time, you want to find somebody that, even in their imperfections, you can handle it. Because some people come with baggage that's just too much for you to handle, bro. And sometimes it's not baggage that they created, but it's just something you can't handle, right? And for me specifically, like if somebody has been married before, or somebody has kids like that, it becomes tricky for me, right? Not to say they shouldn't get married. It's just, I know for me personally, I can't handle that, what that will come with.
Why
at
is
some point.
that? I have a suspicion because I was the same.
Yeah.
So I want to know why.
For me, it's that ever lingering, there's another man that is involved, that this woman is always going to have a relationship with
Especially with the kids, right?
the kids. Like that, I can't step between that. So there's a line I can't cross with her.
So I'm so happy that you're bringing that up because a lot of the time we get a lot of vilification if a guy says, look, I'm not interested if he's got children. But
Yeah.
you find that if she's got children, but
Yeah.
you find that when she says, look, if he's got kids, it's too much admin for me, it
Yeah.
seems to be okay. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's just the politically correct world, again, forcing a certain agenda on men because, that's the thing to do these days. And I want to have the first time experience.
Yeah.
I want that panic of the whole what's happening in the pregnancy. I want that exclusive with somebody. I don't want somebody who's going to tell me you need to calm down. It's not a big. This is not not my first rodeo, cowboy. Relax. We still a long
And
way
you
off.
are the amateur in the situation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey,
we've been here before, man.
don't
Sit
get
down.
hurt, amateur. I don't want that. And you know
Right.
what? That extends not just to the baby,
Yeah.
but it extends even to the white dress. I mean, imagine she's there, but she's been in this dress before. There are pictures out there in the ether. You know this world. Once it's out there, it's gone.
Listen, and let's be clear. We are not saying
Someone who's been married before can't get married again.
can't get married.
Disclaimer. Please.
Disclaimer. I'm just saying for me,
I don't want that experience.
I don't want that experience.
Yeah.
And it's okay as well. That's the other side of it. Like, there's nothing wrong with you wanting what you want and me wanting what I want.
Yeah.
Right? Unless we're already married or whatever, where we have to work as a union,
Yeah.
I don't owe you that.
True.
Right? So if I meet you and I say, oh, you're married. Oh, wow. You've been married before. Okay, cool. I don't know, right? I'm allowed that. Don't look down on me and be like, ooh, like, so, you think you're better or, no, it's just something that's not for me. And we have to have that understanding and be tolerating it to say, okay, I respect that. Maybe it's not for you. I keep it pushing. But yeah, that's one thing that I'm scared of.
Have
bro.
you followed Shadiah on Twitter? Have you seen a dude called Shadiah? Oh
Who's
man,
that?
his tweets are brutal though.
Is it?
But sometimes he's spitting facts sometimes, and I think he's fearless. He's fearless.
There's another guy, bro. You should check out Kevin Samuel.
Okay.
So he's a bit controversial because he's very blunt in how he goes at it. Like he doesn't.
That's Shadiah for you, bro. He's like that.
Yeah. And sometimes, for me, it's like, listen, sometimes you have to hear the hard truth
Yeah.
to understand your situation for what it is
Yeah.
so that you, whatever comes with it, you're able to handle. Okay?
True.
So in the case of being married before, whatever, that's a fact. That's your reality. And you have to accept that some people might not be comfortable with that, right? And for you, it should be a matter of, okay, this is my reality. So maybe it might limit my options.
Yeah.
Maybe it might drop me from a 10 to a...
I love that you're saying that. That's addressing the denialist culture that we have, where because I don't like it, it can't be politically correct. So I've got to attack it. I have stories for days, you know this. So here's another story. I have a friend.
Yeah.
And again, identity is protected. But we were having a conversation with another older friend of mine, and he was a wiser guy because he'd kind of been through the ringer. And he said to her, and we were talking about something a bit unrelated to this. He was talking about, so how does a woman who is established, get a relationship? Because men seem to be intimidated. And he said, women get it wrong. And I think he spoke some truth. He said, you get it wrong. You think it's intimidation because of your power. Listen, you intimidate the people at your office.
Right.
Even a stranger on the street is not intimidated by you. Your little nephew, your kid is not intimidated by you because you have a high office.
Yeah.
At all on the street. So why would the person in a relationship be intimidated by the fact that you are earning more? The real problem is when you take that reality and you bring it home, and your assertion in the office space becomes your assertion in your social life. Then he said, well, he had a name for it. Look, I'm going to just say it. He called it pause, like animal pause, PAWS. I'm going to put it on the screen, pause. It's Powerful African Woman Syndrome. Powerful African Woman Syndrome. Pause. Yeah. And he said, so the thing with pause is you come out the gates and you feel like, listen, I get disrespected as a woman, an African woman. And look, that's not to deny that fact. True. He wasn't denying that fact. Yeah. African women are a heavily marginalized demographic. But it says you take that angst and you bring it into a relationship. Now the guy must find himself. Not that he doesn't know himself, but find what it is to be a man in your context. Because there's another man he's contending with. The man you've had to be in your own life. Right. And she argued with it. And in the end, all I could say to her, because I was right in the middle of this argument, and I said, listen, you can argue till your face is blue. You can win this argument, but lose the reality. Because you can argue until you out-debate this man and then find that men still are having trouble with you. Because she was saying, how come men seem to be, not comfortable with me? Yeah. Like they seem to come, but they never stick around. And I said, you're just going to lose this battle because you're just going to go home having won this argument and think you've won the reality, but you've just won the war of the words.
Bro, I'm actually looking for him. There's this She's a radio personality, big radio personality in SA.
Not Reedy Klabi or something.
No, black lady.
I don't know. Isn't
What's
Reedy
her
Klabi
name?
black? I don't know. Well, I'm not a big radio person.
Oh man,
Radio,
I can't-
podcast,
I
not
can't
radio.
believe I'm missing this. Is it 94.2, 94.7 or something? What's her name? But she was talking about basically that whole masculinity thing for women.
Uh-huh.
And she was saying, listen, that needs to stop. And it was interesting because it was coming from a woman
Yeah.
saying that.
Yeah.
Talking about just embrace your,
Your femininity.
femininity, right?
There's a power in
There's a
femininity.
power in that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this concept is coming around,
Yeah.
right? That you can't have two men in a relationship
Facts.
as much as you can't have two women in a relationship.
Facts.
You understand?
Facts.
So I was
facts.
like, I like the fact that it's clicking, that we have different roles to play and we have different strengths. Not that one is better than the other, but they're
True story.
different.
True
and the
story.
moment we understand that and embrace that, we really start experiencing what we're supposed to
You're
experience. when we
rocking
come-
with the best.
That's it. You see, because we're not celebrating our differences. It's like
Yeah.
we're just warring over the differences.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's kind of similar to race wars. It's similar to, getting antsy because somebody's a different color.
Yeah.
Instead of celebrating the difference, the diversity in color and in culture and in upbringing and experiences, and how much more we could build each other.
Right.
It's the same. It's the war of the roses.
Anele, that's the name.
Anele Matod.
Yes.
yeah.
I believe it. Anele. She had a post that she put out. I think it was actually live on air when she was talking about it about a week or so ago.
Is she
And I
not
was
the
like,
one?
wow.
Oh, she said recently.
She said it recently.
Maybe she's reformed because I remember. I remember there was the guy who proposed in the KFC.
Yeah.
Was she not the same person who then mocked and said, "Oh, South African men it's a new law," mocking in a whole KFC, and then the whole country just rallied behind this guy. All the corporate brands just came on board and said, KFC was like, "We're
Yeah.
going to supply the food." Coca-Cola said the beverages. Somebody else said, "We'll bring the video." MultiChoice
Yeah.
said, "We'll stream it live." And I think it was her. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Anele, forgive me if it
Allegedly,
wasn't you.
yeah, allegedly. But
yeah.
But I was just like, wow. I just like the fact that she said that because it's a very important point. And I think the more we have these conversations, and the more, whether it's men speaking about men issues, and shedding some light on topics, on women doing the same thing, talking to women
Yeah.
about things, I think we learn and
Yeah.
we definitely get a better understanding of how we solve the problem that we find ourselves in now,
Yeah.
where we're having these power struggles, we're having these equality issues, we're having in relationships. I'm not talking about equality elsewhere. I'm not talking about work and stuff like that. I understand that's its own issue and needs to be sorted. And we
Exactly.
are making progress, but it's still an issue. But I'm talking about in the context of the woman and man relationship, like
That's it.
the dynamics.
Yes.
How do we make this thing work, right? So yeah, that was something that I thought would be worth talking about, and we're actually going to delve into some of this interesting stuff that came up as a result of that discussion, right? But there was something I came across on Facebook,
Yeah.
right, where they were talking about conversations that we should have or people should have before they get married or in courtship. Yo, I don't know if it's the last time we used the word courting. People don't even know what courting is at this point. But like what? Because if you think about it, and this is not to just umbrella every relationship, but generally what you find is people date for different things. For sex, people date for financial reasons. We've really twisted in a way what dating really is about, right? Game, right? He says something on his status, which was just like dope. He's like, you wonder why relationships don't work when men are dating women for her body and women are dating men for their pocket. You wonder how this thing doesn't work because it's a mismatch of,
The body's not going to last forever. The man
Right.
is never going to be consistent.
Right.
Or you're going to get used to both, and even if they last, you get bored.
Right. So you wonder why we're in the situation we're in now. So this post was just talking about like what should people be talking about when they date. Like, yes, you can talk about the fluff and everything else, but at the end of the day, you need to get out certain things out the way. You know, be clear on certain things. And we're gonna go through some of them, right? Which I thought will be interesting,
Okay.
right?
This is a hot potato. I
So
can
this is
tell.
a hot
It's
potato.
coming.
So remember, this is from a men's perspective. Let's be clear, right?
Okay.
Women, ladies, listen. Throw us some comments if you have things to say about this.
Yeah.
If you have a different perspective, we're glad to hear it. So the first thing was money, right? Which is always
touchy point, but
it's a
yes,
touchy point, but I wish it wasn't, right?
because it's very necessary.
Because it's very necessary. I think where it gets tricky is when it's misplaced in terms of its role, right? I like, so I grew up in a culture where, and every family is different, right? My dad made it very clear to me that, listen, before you're thinking about dating,
Let me tell you something.
get some money.
Get some money.
Get some money now, right?
Get some money, my brother.
Like, get that out the way, right? And then I didn't understand it because I didn't have the capacity to understand it. But the older you get and the more you grow in your career and in life in general, you start understanding the role. Like, it is important for a man to be stable. It's important for a man to be able to provide for his family, right? And to some people, it's like, our men and women should both provide. To some, it's like, I'm the man of the house, I should provide. We're gonna have debates about that, but ideally, that the concept is you should be able to provide for a family, for your wife. Okay, so I think it's important for women to actually know where a man stands in that area, right? The fellas might hate me for this, but I think it's important for you to get your paper right, and that should be your focus. Yes, there's women, there's things going on, but your main goal as a man growing up should be to get to a point where you're financially stable. I think that should be the
Critical.
It's critical.
And you know, a lot of the time we keep hearing it. I mean, I firstly, I admit I agree with this maxim, but I want to expand it. The maxim that says that love doesn't pay bills. But I want to say, no, love pays bills.
Right.
I want to say part of what
I like the way you're going.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
Love
yes.
is all encapsulating. And so if you love someone, you're going to make provision for them. Remember I said I love the Bible. So think about it. God creates the world first.
Yeah.
With food and everything. Because everything is in there.
Yeah.
Then he creates the human beings last. So he's created provision for this being that he loves.
Yeah.
And then he puts them in there because he provides, because you provide for the one you love.
Right.
Now you're going to take on somebody and say, I love them. And you're going to take her from a life that, you know, was provided for by her parents, and you're going to say, or perhaps now she's been out of home for long enough, she even provided for herself.
Right.
And then you're going to say, no, now come and let's reduce that quality of life and let's remove the accoutrements.
No, that doesn't work.
There's something unfair about that.
And that's a very valid point. There's something unfair about that, right? And not to say, guys, that life doesn't happen. Not to say that they know
ups and downs. Because look, when the ups and downs happen, she knows you have her best interests at heart.
Right.
So we're not talking about saying, then if things go south, she must leave you.
No, that's not the point.
The reason she won't leave is specifically because she knows that you're a provider. So you might go on a bad turn, but it's just a bad turn. It shouldn't be that your way is that you don't provide. It can't be then.
It can't be.
How is that love?
You can't be a man sitting in the house
Comfortably, happily,
where your wife
is the provider. If you're uncomfortable, we understand.
If you understand, and that's where, because I hate being politically correct, right?
Yeah.
Where you'll get the argument of, well, that is the old way of thinking. Why can't the man do the dishes and be at the house whilst I'm providing? Listen, this is my opinion, and Q and me might differ on this, but for me, it's, listen, okay, I get that argument. if that's a situation in terms of structure that you guys agree on, that this is how we're going to run our situation, and everyone is clear on what they're. To me, I'm laughing because I just can't see it happening. But if you're clear on, listen, this is how we want to run our situation, to each his own. But personally, as coming from a guy's perspective, I don't think that's how we should handle that, right? I feel like that's where it becomes very murky and everyone can do everything. And
Man,
yeah,
I don't think it's
dude,
murky.
remember yesterday even? Remember yesterday?
Yeah. Oh,
He's like, bro,
yeah. We mentioned him, but we're gonna beep that out.
yeah, we're going to beep that out, right? When he said, you can't, there's certain things that defy logic and science. There's things that are just facts, and you can argue all you like, but it doesn't
But a fact
change
is a
the
fact.
fact, right? And for me, that's where it's like, there's certain things that we are designed to do, right? Not to say women can't do them, but we are designed to do those things, and we work best when we do those things.
Yep. Actually, let me bring it home.
Yeah.
Well, I hope and bring it home. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
Talking of things like, say, a house husband.
Yeah.
I actually know a lady who was that I worked with, and she was sort of my boss, but kind of not
Yeah.
my line. And she worked and she provided, and
Yeah.
her husband was the house husband.
Yeah.
And I used to ask her, so what happens in the question of nurturing? Because,
Right.
you know, my father holding me
Yeah.
is not the same as my
And my
mother,
mother
holding
holding
me.
me.
And I know this is not a singular sex and unilateral
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
Anyone out there will
Yes.
honestly say to be held by your mom is a different feeling from being held by your dad. It's a softer body. It's a nurturing body. There are breasts there to hold you, to keep you feeling comfortable when you're hurt. It's a bit different. Yes,
When it's a guy doing
a single dad household is a place where someone doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
But where you have a choice,
Yeah.
it's good to have a nurturing hand.
Right.
So I'm not saying then let's relegate women, and because then what are we going to undo, you know, the access that we've created, the equal access because of equal. No, we don't want to do that.
No.
We're saying in terms of now being in the position where you say, okay, we're in the home,
Yeah.
you're going to need to have certain sterner virtues as a
Yeah,
man that you're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
carry.
yeah,
But
yeah.
how are you going to carry those when you're not the one that shows the energy to carry that? When somebody else is the one that shows the energy for work, and you are not really that. You are more the effeminate role,
Right.
but you're a male physiology,
Yeah.
effeminate, dispensation. When it's chemical, it's whatever. But I'm saying when it's something that you're taking on purpose and saying, I don't want to be.
Yes.
No,
So no. For me,
this
it's
PC
very.
world is topsy-turvy, everything.
For me, it's
man.
very black and white. A man should provide for his family. Okay, that's how I look at it. You can debate it, you can argue it. That's on you. But that's how I see it, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the money conversation, you should make sure that you're able to provide for your family. So if a woman asks you about where you stand financially, or you're having those discussions about where are you in your career and, what's the plan? Like, those are important questions, I think, for any woman to ask, right? And not to say men shouldn't ask that, right?
But we're saying as a conversation,
As a
should happen
conversation,
in the
it
courtship.
should happen in the courtship. Like, where are you? What's the plan? Because money is is needed. Like, and for me, I don't mind asking. Like, yo, so what's the plan, mommy? Like, because it's important. Because these are things. Think about it. These are things that affect you not just today but tomorrow.
Yep. Even
Your quality
more
of
tomorrow,
life.
Yeah.
Things that are important to you, right? Is somebody going to come and compliment that, or is somebody going to take away from that, right? And that's always a question you should ask yourself. So it's important. So we agree that one is,
So
money
finance
is important.
critical to talk about.
The other thing was family devotion, right? Now, we'll have some people that don't believe in God, or,
Or have a different
or
spirituality.
different
or whatever,
spirituality,
yeah.
whatever. Cool. But I think that spiritual connection is important fundamentally, okay? Because the basic example is, when life hits you left and right, You know, when everything else fails, you need that third pillar to keep this thing together, right? And I mean, I grew up in that type of family where we had worship every morning, right? My dad didn't play. Like, even when my dad wasn't there, my mom made sure that we had worship in the morning, you know, read a chapter or a verse in the evening, you know, same thing. But I didn't appreciate it then, but I appreciate it now.
Yeah.
Because now they're not there. But the things that I learned there, well, firstly about discipline, secondly about there's a greater power, right? And that kind of shaped how I see the world now.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about dating and you're thinking about, if you really, listen, there's a difference between hit and run. There's a difference between we're just having fun and vibes. There's a difference, but we're talking about dating proper.
Yeah.
You should have those conversations to see, are you aligned on those types of things? Because those are things that will come and haunt you, not today maybe, but tomorrow.
The principle remains, you know.
Right.
And think about it. You're having this disparity. Let's say there's a difference. Let's say if you're having it with somebody and you're still living at your different places, living different lives, you think you can tolerate it. You think so.
Yeah.
But when you're now sleeping in the same house, in the same room, in the same bed, eat the same food, run through similar routines before you go and face the world.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ball game.
Whole different ball
You
game.
better be aligned.
Oh yeah.
Because someone is either going to have to give up part of who they are
Yes.
or going to have to enforce themselves on somebody else. Either way, it's a loss.
Right.
That's a no-win situation right there.
And that's exactly what I was going to get to, that you're going to have to give up of yourself. And this is something I've heard before, you know, where it's like, listen, it might not be important now. When she goes to her house, you go to your house.
Yeah.
But now when you literally have to bring your lives together, that will become an issue where you have to have addressed it, because there'll be differences. And you said, like rightfully said, someone's going to have to give up something. And the question that comes up is, are you willing to give up who God is to you, or your understanding of spirituality and all of that for somebody else? Are you willing to make that sacrifice? That's what it all comes down to, right? If somebody comes from a place where they believe in, and not to make judgments in anything, right? It's just like differences. But somebody comes from a place where they believe in, traditional, ancestors and things like that. And
you probably should marry each other. You know what I'm
then
saying?
you should probably marry each other, because then that's not a debate.
Yeah.
Okay, you believe in, okay, cool, we'll do the same thing, nice. Yeah, you move on. But if that is going to be an issue, trust me, it's not fair for you to expect somebody to give that up for you, and vice versa.
Exactly. Even if she's marrying into your family and you're saying she's going to change her name to you, man.
And sometimes it's not you directly, which leads us to the third point, which is around family.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not just about you.
Yeah.
It's about families coming together at some point, right? So if there are too many differences between what you do at your house and what we do at our house, it might not take away everything from here, but it chips away a part of the other person. Because I am my family, right?
Yeah.
You are your family.
Yeah.
Now,
we're a product of our past, and our family is part of that. So
So those are things to think about, right? And there should be alignment there. So that was the second point. The third one was the kids discussion, right? Which is
the fourth one. We said finances.
So no, we said money. That's the first thing, right? Finances. Then we said family devotion.
Oh,
right?
snap! Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to the third one actually, which is the kids, right? So kids is something that obviously you have to discuss. I mean, I've come across a lot of people now who are like, I don't want to have kids, or I want to have one child. Someone wants to have 7 children. Listen, Nick Cannon, I don't know. There are a few Nick Cannons out there.
I want to have 1 million people. I don't want to multiply. I want to square.
Right? There's some people that are very comfortable spreading the seed across. Now, that's a discussion to have, because for me, it's a very simple discussion of I don't need to pressure anyone.
Can you hear that banging?
Yeah. Anyway, so it's like I don't need to pressure you into having more kids or into having kids, or we should be aligned on those things, okay? Having kids, how you're gonna raise the kids, listen, there's nothing wrong in having these discussions. Let's make that clear. It should never be an uncomfortable discussion, I feel, at a certain age, right? When you meet someone, like at my age, like it's very black and white. If we're meeting, that's gonna have to come up at some point, right? And it's not that I'm trying to impregnate you. I'm just saying, listen, you need to know, fam, at some point this is a plan, right? And are we aligned or not? Simple, right? So I think it's about that. It's about how you raise kids, and that taps also into your childhood, right? Getting to know how somebody was raised, getting to know how somebody, where somebody came from, what is the family structure, what are their values and stuff like that. That is important to talk about. Don't just be laying pipe out here and not having these discussions like, oh, Evan, like, you're just out there. Like, it's important to have these discussions because they'll come and haunt you, a few years down the line. And the kids thing is important, bro. How many kids do we see nowadays who are not being raised right? How many kids do we see?
A lot of relationships, a lot of marriages are accidents. And I don't mean accident in that he just tripped and fell on top of her and the baby came out. No.
Right.
I mean, literally, people walked into these situations without a plan. And this just fell apart because they had no plan. Or they decided, okay, we'll just get married because a baby just happened. Because how many single parent households do you see right now? And I'm talking about the legacy
Bro, let me give you an
issues.
example.
Yeah.
Just to prove your point.
Yeah.
I was talking to a lady, just getting to know a lady, right? And when she found out, for me it was a surprise, like, huh? What do you mean? When she found out, like, I'm not married, I've never been married, I've never had kids, and all of that, it was like a shock to her, like, huh?
Yeah, I've encountered that too. Where it's like, what,
Really?
you don't have kids?
How?
You're over 30, you don't have kids.
Right? And it's like, and it's based on these discussions that we're having now, of like, the things you want to make sure are in place and before you
Take the next step.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like,
you want the next step to be deliberate. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have made mistakes along the way there based on just not thinking about things like that.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing. So just
They're going to hate you for this one.
I just know. But I think it's not like, let me just deep. So the thing about it is, I think in these discussions, we're not coming at people who've made mistakes. We all make mistakes.
Or people who haven't made mistakes,
people
but
who haven't.
are single parents.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, where things just went wrong and whatever. We're just saying that should be the thinking regardless of where you are in this thing.
And I want to say something, and probably it's an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
But listen, you need, I'm going to take my cap off right now because I don't know if they can see me.
Yeah.
You need you need a family structure to raise a child.
It's important.
I know a lot of us were raised by single parents.
Yeah.
It's not the ideal situation. The ideal situation is a family unit.
Right.
And where sometimes, look, there's a reason why when you have a child, and I'm talking, let's say you're a single girl and you have a child, and then you take it and you leave it with your parents or your mother. Because you know that's a more stable environment than the life you live in. Otherwise, you stay with your child. So don't get mad because you are even acknowledging that it's not an ideal situation by your actions.
And we also have to acknowledge the fact that sometimes history repeats itself because people don't know better. So if I've come from a
single parent household, I think, hey, it's okay. That's all I know. That's perfect.
You understand?
But there's truly a benefit to having a mother and a father.
The father in the house, right? And that should be I think that should be the goal of anyone generally who either has come out of that type of situation to say, how do I not repeat the cycle? How do I make decisions and choices that ensure that this buck stops here and there's a different culture?
And thank you. I want to latch on your word decisions.
Yeah.
We're talking about the decision point.
Yeah.
Not the incident where you just fell pregnant and then he's not going to acknowledge it. That's a problem with him, and obviously there has to be a remedy to that. But we're not talking about that remedy today.
No.
Or right now, rather.
Yeah.
We're talking about the situation where you decide, I'm just going to have a child by myself. You might want to rethink that decision.
Rethink that. And I know it's very discouraging sometimes, obviously, because a lot of people mess up. The situation is hopeless sometimes when you look at it. Like, man, where are the guys here? Where the proper, or where's the proper?
Where's the virtuous
you know what I'm
man
saying?
who's going to stand up and say, "This is my child. I must take my responsibility."
But for me, it's just the understanding of don't make bad decisions because other people are making bad decisions, or don't compromise on the standard based on
35% pass mark.
you understand? Like, everyone is getting 20s.
So
no,
it's okay
fine.
to have but I have to say this, and this is a call to the guys, man.
Yeah.
You gotta step up, gentlemen.
That's exactly.
This is a big disappointment when you then deny the child. I understand, and I must acknowledge that I've seen situations where a woman vindictively uses the child to leverage against the man.
That
to hurt
happens.
him.
That happens.
That happens. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a man who deserts his seed. Man, who do you think is going to raise that child? And then you want to come back in the picture 10, 15, 20 years later, or when the child has a successful career as a famous person, and then as a rich person, or is just an established human being, and you want to plug yourself in because
Pathetic.
you're now catering to your guilt. What happened to just human decency and just doing the right thing? Raise your child. Take responsibility.
Take responsibility.
Man. And you might have to marry her, even though you still wanted to play the game. You made this decision.
Figure it out. Figure it out, man. But own up to your. You had to let that steam up. Like, no, it just speaks to responsibility. Like, that's being a man, I think.
That's it.
Owning up to your mistakes and making things work.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to, once you're in that situation, you have to sacrifice something. Just know that's what it is.
Thank you. Sacrifice.
You have to at that point, right? So, yeah, we're talking about those mistakes at this point to say, these are things that you should be thinking about. These are the conversations that you should be having.
Yeah.
Right? Amongst all the other mess, right? But at least have the conversation, bro. Have the convo, bro. Like, at least.
Derek once said, ladies, if you're interested, come to the show. They know ladies who stepped up, so we're going to keep talking as guys. Don't get mad.
No, like, definitely. Ladies, come through. Let's hear your opinions.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, we've had some ladies want to come through, and it's just like, okay, we want to get, right balance, but definitely we're open to getting that side of things.
Post-lockdown.
Post-lockdown, obviously.
Yeah.
So the other thing was a very, in some cases, controversial topic, but sex, man, you have to talk about it. Like, it's a conversation, fam. Like, listen, you know what I mean? Like,
you want to know what I mean? I'm a nasty freak. I'm a nasty freak, so I hope you're the same ilk.
Right?
Cut from the same cloth.
It's important, bro. It's definitely important. Like, you don't want to surprise, give someone a freak shock. Like, hell? What did I get myself into? Abort.
What did I get into myself?
Abort. Like, it's important to have those conversations, I think, beforehand, right? So you kind of know that compatibility, because sometimes you might not be compatible, bro. And I know church folk are gonna come at me for this, right? Oh, they're gonna come for me. But anyway,
they're gonna kill you. But
they're gonna kill me.
anyway.
But let me say it anyway, right? So I'm taking my church hat off right now. But I'm just saying, like, it's important to know who you're committing to. Like, you need to know.
Do you mean know in the biblical sense, or
No, I'm not even trying to go biblical right now, because it crashes the debate.
but Adam, you even they had a baby type thing.
All right, it defeats the whole purpose. But I'm just talking about, if you're trying to be logical, and I know we had a conversation about what logic means when you're trying to separate, from the Bible and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, logically, know that you guys are compatible in that space, right? Because you can be very incompatible, and that can actually affect the marriage sometimes, or the relationship in general, right? So have conversations. Like, what do you like? You know what I mean? Like, know what she likes, fam. You know what I mean?
At the least.
At the least. Know what she likes. Know what she's into.
Is it the feather or the whole chicken?
Right? Like, have these convos, because yeah, some people are freakier than others, right? And you know,
I do think sex is an important thing to talk about.
It is.
And sexual appetites
yeah,
and the disparity
yes, bro.
and what the implication of that can be, including infidelity and dissatisfaction or satisfaction. And look, in a world where pretty much probably everybody we're talking to right now is probably not a virgin.
Bro, just random question.
Yeah.
Do you think you can be overexperienced at some point?
Yep. I answered that too quickly. Let me say, take it again.
Right? Do you think like you can get to a point where it's like, okay, bro, you please the feel too much. Damn, like,
Let me think about
is
that.
it's hard for this person to please you in marriage because you're on another wavelength, fam.
Yeah. Look, again, this is going to be very unpopular, but truth of the matter is, and I'm not talking about, I'm going to say ideal situation, but I don't want to say idealistic like it's a dream.
Yes.
If you still haven't indulged in the forbidden fruit,
Right.
it's not really forbidden. The trick with
If
sex...
you haven't tasted
let's say the trick with sex is this.
Yeah.
And again, I will speak from the Bible sense. The trick with sex is, unlike other situations like, say, taking cocaine.
Yeah.
Your body is designed to function without taking cocaine. In fact, cocaine becomes bad for it eventually. But your body is designed to have sex. It's the context within which it has sex that, let's say, the Bible defines, or the Quran, or religion defines, or your socialization defines. Whether it's religion or in an immoral house that doesn't have religion or whatever. Or atheist environment. That's neither here nor there. But the truth of the matter is, if you build up a bank of experiences, and you meet a partner who hasn't, then you're going to have a disparity. Right. Now, you may think that's slick as a guy, but what if you're actually the partner that has less experience? I'm talking to guys now. You come out at the gates.
Bro, that can happen, bro.
You're firing hard.
That can happen.
All these guns, and you're thinking, I'm the man, and she's thinking, oh man. you know what I'm saying? You're better off. You're thinking, yes. She's thinking, okay. The good situation would be where you both go in blind because you haven't built the expectations. But you see, the blindness can't just be physical. It's got to be mental as well. There's pornography out there. Now, she's gone and she's been watching, I'm sorry, please forgive me. She's been watching Long Dong Silver on the screen, but no one's ever touched her. But you come along and you're regular Joe. That's going to be a different experience for her from an expectation. I'm saying the good thing would be both, well, rather the ideal thing
is at the same level.
But we know the world's not like that. So since you are there, just be careful out there.
Have the conversation, fam.
Thank you.
Just know what it is.
Have the conversation. Know exactly how much.
How much capacity?
I was gonna say damage. Then I thought, no, I was gonna. How much has happened? Right. So that you know what you're getting yourself into or into yourself.
Right. Just know that, fam. Like,
if you don't have that talk, I mean,
listen, it's gonna bite you later on. So. Definitely, that's what we're talking about, and it's part of being grown up. I don't know why, and you know what? There's something about how we're raised sometimes, where it's like it's taboo to have certain conversations, and I think it's important to have them. You know what I mean? I think that's something that our generation needs to fix. Where let's have these conversations with our kids, man.
They're not happening, and
they're not happening
right now because
they're
not happening. Yeah.
So, I think in courting and dating, like. Have those conversations, know where you are.
I hope I can legally plug. I'd like to plug in a little snippet that of a
Yeah.
talk show that Maya Angelou was on, and she said something straightforward. She said, "If these kids are going wild, it's because there's something we haven't taught them." Because there's
Right.
no more accountability in the
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the government wants
yeah.
to take over and say the child is their responsibility, not yours. Then we've gotten to this state where now we can hardly explain ourselves when we say, "But my mother didn't teach me this, my father didn't teach me
Didn't
this."
teach me.
Have the conversation.
Have the conversations. Learn from your elders' mistakes. Pick certain things. Don't pick certain things that don't add up, and then you make the difference. So that's one thing you need to talk about. House chores out, whatever. Yeah, figure that out. I think that one is
Yeah.
figure it out. The house chores thing, in-laws, and that's another one. Like just know. For me, it's about know what the family structure looks like.
Yeah.
So you know where you fit in. Are you comfortable with where you fit in? Are you not comfortable where you fit? Have clarity on that, because you're not marrying.
Can I tell one last story?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's an illustration. I don't know if I'll be able to, if we'll be able to get it on screen.
Yeah.
But what they had, I saw this at a wedding.
Yeah.
The irony is it was my ex's wedding.
Man, bro.
I was a young man then.
Right.
Yes, I was a young man, and we had dated, but we kind of, were very innocent in our dating.
Yeah.
And so they gave her an illustration where her parents stood behind him and his parents stood behind her. And then they said, "Parents, pull your child." As each parent, because her parents were standing behind him, trying to pull her, they're pulling her closer to him. And because his parents were standing behind her and trying to pull their child, they're pulling him towards her. So they pulled the children closer together, the more they were close to the opposite, to their little in-law, to their child-in-law, son or daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
That's an interesting illustration.
That's an interesting.
I hope I can do it graphically on screen,
Right.
because,
But definitely, because it makes the point of one. You can't separate. It's not right. You can't separate your wife from her family, and you can't separate your husband
from his family.
his family. It's not fair.
Thank you.
It's unfair to do that, right? And you can't ignore the family aspect in this whole thing.
And please don't hit us with that, a man shall leave his father's house and cleave to his wife. Yes, they'll attach, but the same Bible goes on to say, honor your parents, and then it goes to show illustrations of people honoring their in-laws. Case in point, Ruth. So please don't go there.
No, fam. Like you can't just separate the two. Like
Yeah.
they have a role they play, but at the same time, like you said, rightfully said, it starts with an understanding of your relationship with your partner first.
Yeah.
Right? And from that point, acknowledging that there's family, and there has to be a clear understanding of where the family layer sits.
Yep.
In this thing, right? Is your Mama Zala able to come every week and stay? Are you comfortable with that? See, or are you funding for the brothers to go to school, or talk about these things beforehand, because these are things that can really mess up a good situation once they become real, right? So that's where we're talking about, just obviously know your in-laws and understand what the living arrangement is going to be with your extended family. So that's the last aspect.
Just summarize them.
We just have
again.
to summarize everything. So the first thing is money. Discuss that. It's important. And I'm not saying be a billionaire. If you can, be great. But I'm just saying be able to provide for your woman and your family well. That's the objective. Secondly, family devotion. There has to be that third pillar in your relationship. Whatever that third pillar is. It could be Christianity, it could be Islam, whatever. But there has to be an understanding there that, there's a greater power. If you're both atheists, do it together. It's
Yeah, but what do atheists scream in the moment?
bro. Tell us if you've got any in the. Tell us what you guys say when you're having a very good moment.
Or a very bad
A
moment.
very bad moment. What do you say, right? And then the kids' conversation, children. How many kids? Not just how many kids. How you're gonna raise your kids? That whole discussion. Just have a family discussion about stuff like that. Sex, talk about it. You have to be open to talk about it. If you can't talk about sex with your partner, what are you doing? Right? So figure. You have to have those conversations openly and be honest, please. Don't say, hey, nah, I like this, and then tomorrow, I didn't say that. Hey, talk about it.
Thank you. Yes, honesty important.
Be honest about that. House chores, that's just another thing on the list. I think it's very important for men to help their women as well. But I think this is more for the women. Women will definitely appreciate that, like that topic. Like it has to be fair. You know? What were you saying, Q? Love your wives.
Mm-hmm.
Honor your husband. Part of love is that.
Yes, there's so much, like love incorporates more than just, say, giving her money or, showing affection or sex.
Yeah.
It incorporates more than the feeling. You have to wake up consciously and better the And your first thought is the other person. It's other-centeredness.
Yeah.
And God's a good example of that. So if you're going to love your wife and you're going to watch her do all the work around and you don't do anything, that's just her misery and your happiness, that's just terrible.
So it's important to figure out that dynamic, how it's going to work for everyone. In-laws, extended family, have those discussions and make decisions that you're comfortable with. That's what it comes down to. Never compromise in relationships and in dating. A wise man once told me, be that douchebag in the relationship so that people see you for who you are. Don't say you can deal with this or can accept this, and then tomorrow you're like, hey, I can't. So be true to yourself through the whole process, right? And once you figure that part out, listen, man, the rest is history. You're gonna be happy. Like, that's a formula to think about, right? Everybody's dynamic and everyone's interpretation of it is gonna be different, but those are things to figure out, right? We gotta wrap it up. Man, we've been going at it.
We have.
Yeah, so thanks guys for tuning in. Obviously, we just wanted to go to another few topics. There were the Olympics where this American girl was like disqualified because she took weed.
But
because her mother died.
Oh, and she needed to de-stress.
And she was told by a reporter, and it's like, man, this world we live in now where you hear news from a reporter that your mother has died, that the insensitivity of it is just like, dude, are you serious right now?
But how insensitive is that? I mean, I think that's another topic we should discuss. This, press freedom.
Where do we draw the line? Exactly. Where do we draw the line? We have to draw it somewhere, right? So that's something to just look up. I thought was quite interesting. Like you said, it delves into, where do we draw the line? And in terms of music and, I'm still listening to the Migos right now. So I ain't got music for y'all. Check the Migos out. Check her out.
Thanks for putting me on to her. I already had listened to the older one.
Yeah.
I think Finding Her or About Her or something like that.
Oh,
but
I was listening to Us.
One,
it's fire, right?
Oof.
It's fire, bro. I was also listening to Casper's album though. Like, it's dope. It's local. I'm a piano music. Fire. I think it's gonna be killing it in the summer.
It's solid. That Banoi.
I think he has an album that's worth listening.
Mahlale Tepen. Tandi Joburg.
So I think y'all check that out. And
I think Lady Do's on the come up. Yeah.
Is it?
Lady Do's featuring on a few of the tracks and she's on the come up.
She's on the come up.
Much respect to her. I don't think she's one to watch. I think she's already here. She's loved throughout Africa and she's gonna blow up even bigger. Yeah. I mean, we've got amazing talent in Africa, and I think we need to shine a light on what we do. Let's take it out there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that's been us. That's it from Dread Avenue Podcast. Obviously, thanks to Vitamin Q Studios for, you already see, you know what I'm saying? We serious, we mean business over here. So if you got something to say, something to shoot, if you want to do a photo shoot, a podcast, shoot content, give us a shout, man. We definitely want to see if we can, collaborate, if you want to obviously add to what we're doing. Definitely, reach out to us. Obviously, the details will be
on the screen. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube.
Straight Avenue Podcast.
Straight Avenue
baby.
Podcast on all platforms. We're on Spotify. So you can listen to us in the car, man. You
Subscribe.
can listen to us when you're flying out of Josie. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you are, we're there.
That's it.
So, subscribe to the platform and let's go on this journey. We've already, shot a lot of content and we're getting really positive feedback. And we appreciate that. We appreciate the support.
Yeah, and have your say. Pass your comments. Come here.
Yeah,
do whatever.
This is your platform too. So give us a shout. Let's get the conversation going. That's the vibe. Good Avenue Podcast drive the conversation. So
That's
it's
it.
about us having two-way thing going on, right? So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. See you guys next time. Cheers.